I bet you remember those vivid nightmares from your school days, waking up drenched in cold sweat, leaping out of bed only to find the house eerily empty. The sky was tinged with an unnatural purple, the paintings on the walls twisted into grotesque forms, and your hands looked disturbingly unfamiliar. In that disorienting moment, you wondered what was real, trapped between the remnants of a dream and an altered reality. The ticking clock grew louder, unbearable, until you awakened. Again. You always thought you knew the difference between dreams and reality, but now the line feels unsettlingly thin. Tell me, do you really think we spend a third of our lives asleep for no reason? I'm not here to discuss research suggesting that practicing tasks within lucid dreams can enhance our abilities, akin to physical or mental rehearsal. Let's land on the dark, unexplored side of the moon. Many consider superstitions and bad omens to be the worst things that can occur in a dream, but they couldn't be more wrong. Our history holds tales of ancient wars ignited by dreams, chilling stories of individuals experiencing horrific things while in a coma, dream-induced assaults, unexplained injuries during sleepwalking, and the unsettling belief that dying in a dream could lead to death in real life. The boundary between our waking reality and the world we enter when we close our eyes is thinner than we might have ever imagined. Dream research shows a negative bias, with negative content appearing more often than positive. It's unclear whether this bias is real or due to selective recall of intense negative emotions. The threat simulation theory, TST, suggests the bias is real and serves an evolutionary function. This study tests the TST hypothesis that threatening events are overrepresented in dreams, both in frequency and severity. While for some of us, it can lead to nightmare disorder, anxiety, and dementia effects, there's also a much darker turn. Throughout history, some criminals have claimed that their heinous acts were driven by disturbing dreams or nightmares. These chilling accounts keep raising questions about the influence of dreams on our actions. The first case is from 1932, when two brothers, Lyle and William Ferguson, were convicted of taking their father's life. They claimed they were compelled to do so after having a vivid dream in which he threatened their lives. The dream felt so real that they believed they had no choice but to act. However, the court was skeptical of their defense, and they were sentenced to life imprisonment. Another example of a crime linked to dreams occurred in 1987, when Kenneth Parks drove to his in-laws' house and attacked them in his sleep, fatally injuring his mother-in-law and severely harming his father-in-law. Parks insisted he had been sleepwalking at the time, acting out a violent dream with no memory of the attack. Experts testified that he was indeed unconscious during the event, leading to his acquittal under the sleepwalking defense. These dreams show that failing to tell the difference between reality and a dream can come at a heavy price. Sometimes that price is someone else's life. While we've talked about people waking up from a dream and facing the consequences of their actions, some others can't wake up for months, even years. For a long time, scientists debated whether we dream while in a coma. But let's hear from those who are lost in an alternate realm and managed to wake up to share how it really feels. One internet user shared, "I remember hearing a woman telling me to squeeze her hand. I found out later that they brought me out of the coma to see if I was brain dead. I squeezed her hand and they put me back under for several more weeks." This coma dreaming example is incredibly shocking because it demonstrates how a dream action in the coma could have real-life consequences. If he hadn't responded by squeezing the woman's hand, doctors might have assumed he was brain dead and disconnected him from life support. In this case, what seemed like a simple action in the dream world could have led to him losing his life, showing just how fragile the line between dreams and reality can be in critical situations. Another person shared, "I was in an induced coma for 2 months and died 3 times. It was a weird experience. I had multiple nightmares that never made much sense, and I was very lucid besides the fact that I didn't realize this wasn't real. I had human bumblebees trying to kill me, big spiders that would fall from above and kill me. I'd be trapped in a room with the walls closing in, or trapped underground with a bunch of people with a killer snake. My dad and lots of my dad's side of the family were in my dreams, which is odd, as I never had much contact with them." The third internet user who experienced a coma states, One of my friends was shot when he was 9 years old and put into a medically induced coma for 6 weeks. He said he could hear people talking to him, but it went through a bit of a dream filter and translated to what he was seeing in his dreams, so it didn't make a lot of sense. Most of what he repeated to his family about hearing was half right. He said he had a lot of nightmares about walking through a never-ending corridor for hours and hours with no doors or windows. We can experience tragic events in our dreams, but can they cause real-life tragedies? Across cultures, dreams are often seen as either good signs or bad omens, but some cases are even backed by science. The British Premonitions Bureau, founded by psychiatrist John Barker in 1966, after the devastating Aberfan mining disaster in Wales, sought to investigate claims of premonitory dreams, where individuals believed they had foreseen tragic events. The Bureau collected hundreds of these reports, many of which seemed uncannily accurate at first glance. However, upon further analysis, most of these premonitions were later deemed to be coincidences or the result of cognitive biases, our tendency to remember the instances when dreams align with reality, while forgetting the countless times they don't. Despite the intriguing nature of these reports, the Bureau's focus on premonitions sometimes stoked unnecessary anxiety and mass hysteria, failing to prevent disasters and, in some cases, amplifying fear within the public. And even though we tend to dismiss our ability to foretell the future, we can't really deny that hundreds of reports stating the same thing were all false. Rulers and conquerors in ancient times often relied on dreams and omens as divine guidance for their military campaigns, believing they were signs from the gods. These visions, though seen as sacred, led to many deaths and the destruction of entire civilizations. For instance, in ancient Mesopotamia, rulers like Gudea of Lagash, at around 2140 BC, documented their dreams on clay cylinders, reflecting their significance in governance. Similarly, ancient Babylonians meticulously recorded omens derived from lunar eclipses, interpreting them as forewarnings of events such as the death of kings or the fall of regions. These interpretations often led to actions aimed at perceived threats, highlighting the deep intertwining of dreams, omens, and decision-making in ancient societies. According to legend, Emperor Jimmu, Japan's first emperor, received a divine message in a dream instructing him to conquer Japan. This dream legitimized his rule and the establishment of the imperial line. Genghis Khan reportedly dreamt of a great bird lifting him into the sky, symbolizing the unification of his tribes and the expansion of his empire. He believed his conquests were divinely guided, using omens to justify his military campaigns. Before invading Persia, Alexander had a dream where the oracle of Amun in Egypt declared him the son of Zeus, confirming his divine right to rule. He also believed his dreams guided him during his campaigns, such as receiving a divine shield before the Battle of Gaugamela. In January 1859, Esther Griggs, an impoverished mother residing in London's Marylebone district, was charged with the attempted harm of her 18-month-old daughter, Lizzie. Griggs claimed that while sleeping, she dreamt her 5-year-old son alerted her to a fire in their home. In her sleep-induced panic to save her children, she threw Lizzie out of the window, believing she was rescuing her from a fire. Responding to Griggs's screams, police arrived to find her distraught, crying out in desperation. Inside, they discovered 2 children in bed, and Griggs frantically searching for Lizzie. The officers observed that the window had not been opened, and the child had been thrown through a plate of glass. They testified that, had they not intervened, the other children might have been similarly harmed. At trial, medical experts testified that Griggs was likely in a dissociative state, acting without conscious awareness. Despite concerns about setting a precedent for the sleepwalking defense, the grand jury dismissed the charges and Griggs was discharged. She did not experience further incidents of sleep-related violence. Parasomnia Pseudo-Suicide refers to instances where individuals engage in self-injurious or fatal behaviours during sleep without conscious intent or awareness. These actions are typically manifestations of sleep disorders, such as sleepwalking, where the person is not fully awake and lacks control over their actions. For example, Tobias Wong, a 35-year-old designer renowned for his provocative and innovative designs, was found dead in his New York City apartment on May 30, 2010. While authorities ruled his death a suicide, his partner, Tim Dubitsky, and others familiar with Wong's history of sleepwalking, believed that he may have harmed himself during a sleepwalking episode. Wong had a documented history of engaging in complex activities while asleep, including cooking meals, browsing the internet, and even sending emails. These cases underscore the importance of distinguishing between intentional suicide and actions resulting from sleep-related disorders. Misinterpretation can lead to erroneous conclusions about an individual's intentions. Understanding the mechanisms behind parasomnia pseudo-suicide is crucial for accurate diagnosis and prevention, especially considering the potential role of medications and other predisposing factors in triggering such behaviors during sleep. As we've seen, the mysterious world of dreams holds both fascination and terror, revealing the fine line between our waking reality and the unknown realm we enter each night. Whether it's dreams driving violent actions, premonitions shaping the course of history, or sleep-related disorders leading to tragic consequences, these stories remind us of the unsettling power dreams can hold over us. The question remains, how much control do we truly have over our minds when we close our eyes? Also, today, you woke up, ate your breakfast, brushed your teeth. But are you sure you're awake now?